Sunday is known as the day of rest, but Sunday nights can be quite sad because you know that once that's over, you've got to be up the next day to go to work. There used to be some salvation in that on a Sunday evening it was Top Gear. But as we all know, the trinity of Clarkson, Hammond and May went off to Amazon, leaving a void. But happily now, it's now the slot for Doctor Who. And as a Whovian, people who know me are aware not to contact me while that programme's on. So, on Sunday night, whilst Doctor Who was being broadcast, I was somewhat surprised to hear a knock at the door. So I paused the television and went to investigate. And upon opening the door, I saw two smartly dressed young men. And for reasons best known to myself, my first thought was MI5. But then I thought something exciting was going to happen. But then the light struck the badges they were wearing at exactly the same time that I heard their American accents. And the badges said they were from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's the Mormons. And that's how I reacted. I went, "The Mormons!" Which surprised me as much as it surprised them. Now, I'd answered the door wearing a Sons of Anarchy t-shirt and Spider-Man pyjama bottoms, so not suitable attire for discussing the divine. Also, if they want to talk about someone who's 2,000 years old and has sacrificed themselves for humanity, Doctor Who was on pause. But one of the chaps said, so you've not met a missionary before? And he was right, because usually when I see the Mormons in the street, I'll just cross the road to avoid them. And his colleague then said, so do you have a religion in this household? And that's when I felt great, because I could say clearly and confidently, my wife is a Catholic and I am a Protestant. I know I've won this round. And it's true, I was baptised as a baby. I didn't have any say in it, but legally I'm Church of England, which is Protestant. And my wife is an Irish Catholic. She's took me to Mass twice now in 10 years. I had no idea I was marrying such a fanatic. So I thought, I've got them beat. This is Catholic, Protestant, old school, fire and brimstone. None of your fancy new American religion. But the chap then just went, oh, so how long have you been a Protestant? So I said, well, 40 years. And I realised he's got me. He's got me talking. And to cut a long story short, in a few minutes, I'd politely got rid of them. But then I felt somewhat guilty the next day because the Mormons aren't really a problem. You don't hear about Mormon kiddie fiddlers or Mormon grooming gangs. You don't hear about Mormons setting up a caliphate and beheading people who don't believe in the same religion they do. And these are two young men who thought they were doing their God's work. They're smartly dressed, they come around at a reasonable time, unlike the Jehovah's Witnesses who turned up at 2 o'clock on a Christmas day and was surprised they didn't want to chat to them. So I thought, well, what is it the Mormons actually believe in then? So last night, after Mrs. Disgruntled had gone to bed, I had a look. And wow, they are out there. I'm not going to pick apart their beliefs because that wouldn't be a nice thing to do. But yeah, whoa. To condense it, the Mormon church says it's part of the Christian church and the rest of the Christian church says, no, you're not. They're like Smokey and the Bandit 3. In as much that film's called Smokey and the Bandit 3, but Burt Reynolds isn't in it. So we all know it's not really Smokey and the Bandit. Now, Jesus is in the Mormon religion, but it's all very, very different. Yeah. So I wondered, what do these missionaries actually have to do then? And these are some of their tasks. After these guys have flown from America over to Europe to come and bother me on a Sunday evening when I'm watching sci-fi. Right, what aren't they allowed to do? There's no premarital sex. There's no alcohol. There's no tobacco. They've lost me already. But that's quite part of course for a religion. But then there's also no hot drinks, no eating meat during summer, and no swimming. And they're only allowed to contact their family twice a year on Christmas Day and Mother's Day for no more than half an hour. So what's the payoff? What do they get for all these sacrifices? And the thing we all know about Mormons is this, is that the men can have multiple brides. But let's actually think about that. A group of women. Have you heard the volume they can produce if you get 4 women together? And here's the other thing. When women live together, their menstrual cycles fall into sync. So these guys who've done all this work, their reward is that they live in a house with a load of women who are all on the rag at the same time.